Have you ever wondered why some people seem to magnetize attention without effort? Maybe you're one of them, and you just haven't noticed yet. There are subtle signs, others' behaviors, and involuntary reactions around you that reveal something you might be overlooking: your own attractiveness. It isn't limited to aesthetics or what mirrors reflect. It's an energy, a presence, a profound echo of the soul resonating in the collective unconscious. In this video, we'll explore how hidden manifestations reveal an unconscious charm, often ignored even by those who possess it. Get ready to see what lies between the lines of everyday life and to discover, in a new light, who you truly are inside and out. If you believe that beauty goes beyond the obvious, leave a comment. My inner light attracts what is real. Carl Jung's analytical psychology gives us powerful tools for understanding how attractiveness is not just a physical or social issue, but a psychological phenomenon deeply rooted in the unconscious. How we are perceived and how we perceive ourselves is directly linked to the archetypes we activate, the projections we receive, and our relationship with our own shadow. Often, someone who doesn't see themselves as attractive is actually disconnected from fundamental parts of themselves. Jung would say that these denied or repressed aspects, the shadow, need to be integrated for the whole self to emerge. Shadow integration and the process of individuation pave the way for authentic expression, and that authenticity is irresistibly magnetic. People sense when someone is in harmony with themselves. Furthermore, anima and animus, the feminine and masculine aspects present in all of us, influence how we express charisma, empathy, strength, and sensitivity. When these internal poles are balanced, we radiate an energy that transcends the physical and touches the collective unconscious of those around us. Projection is also key. Often, others project ideals or qualities onto us that we haven't yet recognized in ourselves. This explains why you may be seen as attractive by many, even without realizing it. From a Jungian perspective, attractiveness is a moving mirror of the soul, a reflection of who you are or are destined to become on your journey of self-discovery. There's an invisible dance happening constantly between bodies, a silent, instinctive, deeply archetypal communication. Without saying a single word, your body speaks. It speaks of your inner history, your fears and strengths, and above all, your attractiveness. Even when you don't recognize yourself as attractive, your posture, movements, and expressions may be revealing the exact opposite. This happens because the body is the unconscious's first language. Jung taught that archetypes live within us and express themselves through images, symbols, and behaviors. When someone walks with confidence, holds a steady gaze, occupies their space naturally, and breathes freely, they communicate inner security, even if they're not consciously aware of it. That subtle alignment of body and psyche triggers automatic perceptions in others. It's as if the other person's unconscious recognizes there is something here that draws me in. Body language reveals the degree of an individual's integration. People who have made peace with their shadow, who have welcomed and acknowledged the parts of themselves they once avoided, tend to carry a more complete presence. Relaxed shoulders, a spontaneous smile, fluid gestures. These are signs of a soul inhabiting its body without resistance. That integral presence radiates a kind of magnetism that needs no explanation. It's simply felt. Another crucial aspect is the gaze. The eyes reveal the soul. Often, what attracts us deeply in someone isn't the shape of their eyes, but the intensity and clarity they convey. A gaze that holds steady, meets another with empathy and honesty, can create an instant connection. This kind of look signals the inner work being done, even if it remains silent. It transmits authenticity, a deeply seductive value from a Jungian standpoint. Moreover, body language responds to the collective unconscious. Certain expressions and postures are universally recognized as symbols of strength, grace, or sensuality. That's why natural gestures, like brushing your hair lightly, standing tall without stiffness, or leaning in attentively when listening, have such a profound impact on others' perceptions. They activate archetypal images that spark emotional reactions and often attraction. It's important to remember that this silent communication isn't about performance, but authenticity. When we try to imitate postures, mimic habits, or force behaviors to appear more attractive, the body sends signals disconnected from the psyche. The result is the opposite of what we want. It comes across as artificial. True bodily magnetism springs from self-knowledge. When you accept yourself, your movements become freer, and freedom is magnetic. Jung also spoke of integrating our inner masculine and feminine poles. When these aspects are in harmony, the body expresses an energy balanced between firmness and gentleness, rationality and sensitivity. That combination creates a presence that defies easy categorization and enchants for precisely that reason. Men who express empathy with confidence and women who show assertiveness with softness, for example, embody this fusion. The body reveals it in every gesture. The silent language of the body is, therefore, a mirror of the soul. It reveals what even the conscious mind may not yet recognize. Truly attractive people are those whose bodies express the truth of their inner world, even if wordlessly. You don't need provocative clothes or perfect symmetry. You need to inhabit yourself fully. When that happens, the body becomes a beacon, and those who pass by feel its pull. Some people have a presence that makes an impact, even in silence. Without saying a word or making any deliberate effort, they evoke admiration, curiosity, enchantment, or even discomfort in others. And often, they themselves don't understand why. The secret lies beyond what is visible. It's what emanates from the soul, what Jung called psychic energy, a force expressed through authenticity, self-awareness, and integration of internal personality aspects. When you start living more aligned with your true self, without masks or external expectations, a silent transformation takes place. That integrity, even if still a work in progress, becomes perceptible to others. People respond not just to what they see, but to what they feel. And what they feel is the coherence between who you are inside and what you project outside. Carl Jung explained that we all project qualities onto others, both the ones we admire and those we reject. When someone sees in you something they haven't yet recognized in themselves, it can trigger two basic reactions: enchantment or discomfort. For example, if you naturally express sensitivity that someone else has repressed for fear of vulnerability, your mere presence can touch that emotional wound. They may feel admiration for you or, unconsciously, distance themselves because they don't know how to handle that reflection. This process is directly tied to what Jung called projection, seeing in the other what remains unconscious within us. And attractiveness often stems from this. Someone feels strongly drawn to you, not only for who you are, but because you awaken in them something they haven't yet acknowledged. That enchantment defies rational logic. It comes from the unconscious, from a depth that resists simple explanations. On the flip side, intimidation can arise. That doesn't mean you've done something to provoke fear or discomfort. On the contrary, your presence, when it carries truth and wholeness, functions like a mirror for others, and not everyone is prepared to see themselves so clearly reflected. If you radiate security, freedom, or emotional depth, it can challenge those who have not yet cultivated those qualities. The result? Sidelong glances, withdrawal, or even hostile behaviors, which say far more about them than about you. This dynamic intensifies when you emit consistent emotional energy. For instance, if you're in a phase of deep self-reconnection, reclaiming your values, strengthening emotionally, or simply allowing yourself to be, you exude an energy people sense. Even without naming it, they feel it intensely. It's as if your energy says, "I belong to myself," and this silent message has a powerful effect. Another factor is that those who begin individuation, the journey to become who they truly are, start shedding imposed social roles, striving to live more authentically. This naturally makes them stand out, even without intention. It's as if something about them says, "This is real in a world full of masks." That truth sparks attraction because it's rare, and rarity provokes interest. It's vital to understand that enchantment and intimidation are deep emotional responses. They indicate that you're touching something essential in the other, and that's beyond your control. So when someone reacts intensely to you, try to observe without judgment. Sometimes it's simply their unconscious struggling to process what you represent in their life, a reminder of something they haven't yet experienced, an inspiration that challenges them, or a discomfort pointing to their own denial. You don't need to do anything extraordinary to provoke these reactions. Simply being faithful to your own nature is enough. True attractiveness is born from connecting with what is essential, and that connection radiates. It transforms your gaze, your voice, your presence, and without you realizing it, the world around you responds. We live in a deeply visual culture that equates attractiveness with aesthetics, youth, and body standards. Yet there are people who, even without fitting these conventional models, exert an unusual fascination. They attract glances, spark curiosity, and leave a lasting impression. This happens because true attractiveness isn't in form, but in the energy emanating from essence. Carl Jung helps us understand this phenomenon from a deeper place in the human psyche. Inner energy as the soul's manifestation. Inner energy is the invisible field you project into the world, a direct reflection of how you feel, think, believe, and relate to yourself. When someone has vibrant energy, they communicate vitality, authenticity, and a presence that fills the space. This energy isn't tied to physical effort or external busyness, but to the psychic strength generated by acceptance and integration of the self's various parts. According to Jung, as individuals advance in individuation, the path to becoming who they truly are, they stop depending on external approval to feel whole. This emotional autonomy, when genuinely achieved, becomes an aura of serene self-sufficiency. People who carry this energy don't ask permission to exist, they simply exist. And that authentic simplicity is one of the deepest forms of attraction because it resonates with the truth within us all. Inner energy need not be exuberant to be powerful. Often it expresses itself subtly through calm gestures, tone of voice, attentive presence. When someone is centered in themselves, their energy creates a safe space for others. This emotional stability attracts because it represents an anchor in a chaotic emotional world. And while physical appearance may catch the eye momentarily, it's this silent stability that leaves an imprint. Moreover, inner energy reveals the coherence a person lives by. Someone can be physically beautiful, but if they carry insecurity, internal disconnection, or falseness, it shows energetically and creates dissonance in contact with others. Conversely, a person who doesn't fit traditional beauty standards can be intensely attractive if at peace with themselves. Jung teaches us that wholeness is more alluring than any idealized fragment. True beauty arises from inner harmony, not outer symmetry. Another fundamental aspect is our relationship with the shadow. When you recognize and embrace your repressed personality traits, fears, anger, fragilities, unaccepted desires, your energy deepens, becomes more real. People who integrate their shadows radiate depth, and that depth touches something visceral in others. Even without knowing why, they sense something genuine there, and that genuineness is infinitely more attractive than any polished facade. This energy is also magnetic because it signals authenticity to the collective unconscious. It's not just what you say or do, but what you vibrate. There is a kind of attractiveness that cannot be rehearsed because it does not arise from the outside. It springs from honest contact with the soul. Those who dive inward become beacons. They don't shout their presence, they illuminate. It's that inner light, invisible to the eyes but perceived by subtler senses, that shapes how the world sees you. People remember how they felt around you far more than what they saw. That's why tending to your energy is more effective than shaping your image. Appearance makes an impact. Energy makes a memory. Physical beauty may open doors, but energy decides if you're invited to stay. On a deep level, we all seek what is real, and inner energy, purified by self-awareness, becomes the truest expression of the truth you carry. That is the beauty that transforms, connects, and endures. It's possible to be deeply attractive even when you don't feel it, and this happens more often than you might think. Confidence is fleeting, but true attractiveness is rooted in something deeper, something beyond momentary emotions. According to Jungian analytic psychology, the human being comprises multiple layers of the psyche, and often it is in moments of vulnerability that our most authentic essence emerges, and it is that authenticity that touches others. When you don't feel confident, you may have your guard down. That openness allows your humanity, your genuine presence, to shine more clearly. People connect with what is real, not perfection. When someone sees you in a natural, spontaneous state, it can spark a different kind of attraction, more subtle, more emotional, more lasting. It's as if they glimpse your soul without the filters of performance. Jung spoke of the importance of shadow integration, embracing everything we repress or deny, as a crucial part of individuation. One paradox of this process is that by welcoming our fragilities, we become more whole. When you acknowledge your insecurity, confusion, or fear, yet remain yourself, you communicate courage, and that silent courage is intensely magnetic, even if you don't notice it in the moment. There are clear signs that your attractiveness is active even when you don't feel it. One example is the subtle or lingering glances you receive. People don't look closely at what doesn't call out their energy. Curious looks, prolonged eye contact, or repeated coincidental encounters can be unconscious responses to your presence. Even if you feel insecure, your inner energy continues to send signals, especially if you're on a journey of self-discovery. Another recurring sign is others' spontaneous interest in being near you, hearing your ideas, or seeking your opinion. This approach, often disguised as friendship or curiosity, reveals that something in you provokes connection. True attractiveness goes beyond physical desire. It involves a desire for proximity, emotional intimacy, and meaningful exchange. When someone feels they can be themselves around you, that too is a sign of your magnetic power. Moreover, subtle comments or spontaneous compliments about your presence, your voice, your way of looking or laughing are clear reflections of how your energy impacts others. Even on a difficult day, the way you express yourself, with authenticity amid vulnerability, conveys a beauty that can't be faked. Jung said that the soul expresses itself through symbols, and your way of being in the world is one of those symbols. It communicates more than words ever could. It's important to remember that self-criticism often distorts reality. In moments of insecurity, your mind may convince you that you're not enough, but that doesn't erase the impression your presence makes. On the contrary, it's precisely that contrast between what you feel and what others perceive that reveals how much of your own light you haven't yet acknowledged. If someone shows enchantment toward you when you see no reason for it, the answer lies in the deepest level of your energy. Presence is something you build over time, not just on the days you feel good. When you invest in knowing yourself, integrating your fragmented parts, and being honest with yourself, your energy carries that invisible work. And even on days when your confidence wavers, that field remains active. It keeps communicating to others that someone is in the process of becoming whole, and that process in itself is extraordinarily seductive. Being attractive, then, is not a state, it's a frequency. And when that frequency aligns with your inner truth, it keeps vibrating, even when you forget it for a moment. The world senses it, even if you don't. And that is perhaps the greatest sign of all. True attractiveness isn't found in the mirror, nor measured by compliments. It vibrates in how you relate to yourself, in how you integrate your light and shadow, in the courage to be whole even amidst doubt. Throughout this video, we've explored how the body's silent language, inner energy, others' emotional responses, and even moments of insecurity reveal far more about your magnetism than you might imagine. Analytical psychology shows us that what is deepest and most true in us is precisely what connects most. You may not see it, but you carry clear signs of attractiveness, because attractiveness is, above all, self-knowledge in action. And the most fascinating part is that the more you know yourself, the more the world recognizes you. If this content spoke to you, subscribe to the channel and hit notifications so you don't miss any videos. Now, watch the content appearing on the screen. It will further expand your journey of self-discovery, because your transformation begins when you allow yourself to see what has always been there, your own strength.